Oh my god, you guys, guess what? Tonight we got an actual coherent, cohesive episode of The X-Files. It's been too long, man. It's been too long. Hi everyone, my name is Megan and I think reviews here. I run a little blog called The Review Is Out There, in which I have sworn to review every single episode of The X-Files and have not done so in over a year. So I'm sorry about that, but I thought I would make a little video after each episode of season 11, the revival, or the second season of the revival. I did make one of these videos after My Struggle 3, but then I accidentally deleted the footage like a genius, so I don't have that video anymore, although I'm not really sure that it would have contributed much to the conversation because people picked that episode pretty clean. Its problems were many and obvious. So, moving on to tonight's episode, Glen Morgan's This, which is kind of a weird title. I'm not really sure why he called it that. And it's also really makes it kind of hard to talk about because this is a very common word that we use, especially when we're talking about, well, anything really. So I'm just going to say the episode and we'll hope that you guys know what I mean. So, verdict. I liked it. It was good. It was a good episode. It was funny and cute and interesting and heartfelt and, a bunch of things X-Files episodes are supposed to be, but lately haven't been. It was good. I liked it. I may not be as over the moon about it as a lot of you, but we'll get to why in a minute or so. I do want to point something out about this episode that I really do appreciate and I think is very important, and that's I actually enjoyed watching this episode, which I haven't really done since Weremonster, and before Weremonster, gosh, like season 7. There are a few good episodes in season 8, but season 8's really sad for the most part, and I wouldn't call it enjoyable. And season 9, season 9 is a mess. Most of season 10, besides Weremonster, is a mess. And I did not like I Want to Believe. I know a lot of you do. You're all wrong. Sorry. You're all wrong. But this episode I very much enjoyed watching, and it was a good feeling. I've missed that feelings, and I hope we get more of it in the episodes to come. Let's start off with what I did like. I really liked I guess you could call it the topic of the episode, which is kind of this Matrixy Ghost of the Shell type theme. What I took from it, I know it's a little confusing, a lot of us are pretty puzzled over it, but what I took from it is it's kind of like artificial, how would you say it? Like artificial, not intelligence, but an artificial consciousness or sort of engineered reality of some sort. It's kind of like the Matrix, and the way we use our technology and how we kind of treat our behavior sort of makes technology seem like God, with all the time and attention we spend on our phones, on the internet, on the various forms of technology. And I think that was really, really interesting and relevant and contemporary, but still very much something that can be explored with the X-Files. It reminded me a lot of the season 5 episode Kill Switch, which I really like. So, I really liked the theme of the episode, I suppose. And I liked the flirty dialogue. I'm probably going to get lots of flack for this, but there may have been too much of that flirty dialogue, because probably my biggest criticism of this episode, and I think it has a lot to do with my overall view of Glen Morgan as a writer. I like Glen Morgan. I think he has a lot of good ideas, and I think his writing, like the actual prose of his episodes, can be very nice. And he obviously puts a lot of thought into them. That he puts too much in his episodes a lot of the times, and especially the ones he writes himself or by himself, and they can become very jumbled and not gel together very well, which is the big problem I have with Home Again, which to this day, I haven't seen in its completion since it aired. I've watched little clips from it a lot, but not the whole episode in its completion. And we have similar problems here, because the problem, when you have too much going on in one episode, you get tonal dissonance, which is when scenes or lines of dialogue are paired up with one another that don't really match in tone very well. So probably the biggest example of this in this episode is Mulder and Scully. I'm not gonna say they look bored throughout the entire episode, but they definitely don't seem like they're in peril very much, even when they're getting their house is getting broken into at gunpoint. Like, they don't seem particularly as concerned as you might think they'd be. And when they're in all the scenes when they're like doing the badass fight scenes, and we get to see Scully kick some ass, and like it's fun to watch, and it's enjoyable to watch, but you get the feeling that's kind of being played for laughs more than it is, oh, Mulder and Scully are actually fighting for their lives. And I had to keep reminding myself throughout the episode, like, Mulder and Scully, in many times during this episode, are in mortal danger, but you wouldn't know it by the way they're acting and, the way their faces kind of look during all these scenes when they're supposed to be in mortal danger. And we also didn't get a lot of scenes where they sit down and talk about the implications of the technology and whatnot. We didn't get like a little episode wrap up where they kind of sit and reflect on everything that's just happened to them, which I'm not saying has to be in every episode. Like, it's good that we have episodes that go outside the formula, but there was none of that in this episode. It was like, serious things happen to Mulder and Scully, and we talk about serious issues, and then they flirt. You get what I'm saying? It's just that, like, I like both of those things, but they're put together, they're put next to each other in ways that I just didn't feel fit. And almost as if you could make two different episodes out of both of those things, which is, again, something I said about Home Again in season 10. There's just a lot of, doesn't feel like it's sewn together particularly as well as it could have been, perhaps. So all in all, I liked it. It wasn't perfect, and I don't think I'm freaking out about it as much as other people are. I certainly don't think it was as well put together as Where Monster was, and I know I'm a Darren Morgan fangirl, and I am always singing his praises, but, like, that's something that Darren Morgan does really well, I feel like, is that he integrates all his themes together really nicely and really smoothly. Glen Morgan, I feel, has equally good themes, doesn't put them together quite as smoothly, and because of that, there's a lot of tonal dissonance. I can also see how a lot of people could be confused by the events in this episode, because I'm still not 100% sure exactly what went on, but unlike My Struggle 3, which was also confusing, but it was confusing for different reasons, unlike that episode, this episode, I feel like, is confusing, so it warrants another watch. I said on Twitter something to the degree of Glen Morgan's episodes are confusing because they have too much substance. Chris Carter's episodes are confusing because they don't have enough. And I have much more respect for having too much substance versus not enough substance. So all in all, I give this one a thumbs up. And I hope that the coming episodes will continue this trend. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you next week.